Okay, here's an incredible headline that just continues to prove the fact that Bitcoin is here to stay and it's going to head towards mainstream mass adoption for all the right reasons. Here we go. That's my belief, obviously, that's my personal opinion. Prince Alwaleed says Bitcoin will implode, Enron in the making. He goes on to say, it just doesn't make sense. This thing is not regulated. It's not under control. It's not under control. It's not under the supervision of any central bank. Hello, that's exactly what we want. We want it to be centralized. We don't want it to be centrally controlled under a central bank or governmental authority. He goes on to say, it just doesn't make any sense. This thing's not regulated. It's not under any control. Blah, blah, blah. I just don't believe in this Bitcoin thing. I think it's going to implode one day. I think this is Enron in the making. The problem with this statement, first of all, this is somebody who should know better, but this is a ridiculous statement. Like the exaggeration here is insane. He was referring to the energy trading and utilities giant Enron that went bankrupt in 2001 due to a massive accounting fraud. Bitcoin cannot be frauded through fake accounting. That's what the blockchain is all about. The comparison here is ridiculous. You can't have Bitcoin fraud on the blockchain. That's the whole reason governments are looking to use blockchain technology in nearly every facet of their operations. It's the same reason large companies like Microsoft are looking at blockchain technologies, and MasterCard. That's coming up in another video. MasterCard has literally created their own blockchain. Why would a financial services company like MasterCard create a blockchain if it was susceptible to accounting fraud? Because it's not. This guy is just exaggerating. Listen, you always have to follow the money. Why in the world would he, or why is it in his best interest to say these things? Well, if you come down here and look, if you look here, Alwaleed runs Kingdom Holding, a massive conglomerate whose investment includes Citigroup, Apple, Twitter. The company is based in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It should not be surprising that Alwaleed is critical of Bitcoin because he has ties to the authoritarian Saudi Arabian rulers. A major factor behind Bitcoin's development is its ability to be a global currency outside of government control. This gentleman is tied very, very closely to the Saudi Arabian government. So of course he thinks Bitcoin is ridiculous. In fact, so much so that he can't even explain it without making some crazy comparison to Enron. And there's no way Bitcoin, even if it somehow was some sort of false scam, it couldn't be a false scam through accounting. That's crazy. That's the basis of what Bitcoin's built on. So anytime you see stuff like this, follow the money, look at the root. But this gentleman there's a reason he wants to say this. It's because on some level, he feels slightly threatened by the technology. On some level, he is slightly threatened by the currency in and of itself. And one of my predictions, one of my possible outcomes predictions for Bitcoin, and I'm going to be covering this in another video, but one of my possible outcomes is that governments at first will run from Bitcoin. At first, most governments will not accept it. They'll attempt to squelch it until eventually they decide that they want to be the first to be a part of it. And at that point, I think it's as if it was a limited supply of gold, governments will start to potentially, this is one of the things that could happen, is governments will start hoarding Bitcoin as fast as possible. They'll start snatching it up as quickly as possible. And when that happens, it will be a race. If that happens, it will become a race among governments on who can own the most Bitcoin, because whoever can own the most Bitcoin will become the wealthiest, most powerful financial player on the planet. And at that point, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we found out that major governments, U.S. government, European governments, were secretly buying up Bitcoin now in small quantities, because when the race is on, it's going to be on in a big way. I mean, you imagine central banks like the Federal Reserve trying to buy up Bitcoin, or some, central bank, European central banks or whatever, central banks in Asia or their equivalent in Asia. You imagine them trying to buy up Bitcoin. How much could they buy up at once? Billion? Tens of billions? Hundreds of billions? $1 trillion? Who knows? But imagine if that kind of capital ran into the Bitcoin market. That's why I own Bitcoin. This is why I invested, because I believe that is a potential. That is a possibility. And if that was the case, we would all be laughing all the way to our financial secure futures without question. All right, that's it for this video. Please make certain that you hit subscribe below so you can get notified of my next video. Click on that bell icon so you'll be notified, alerted as soon as I put out another video. Thank you for watching. Feel free to comment below. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think about this gentleman, Alwaleed, commenting about Bitcoin being basically an accounting fraud like Enron? What are your thoughts? Be sure to comment below. Like and share. Have a great day.